Hey, Darren Spain here. And you're probably saying, what in the world is this guy doing with this mask on? Well, you probably know about the mask or know where it comes from. And if you don't, it comes from a movie called V for Vendetta. And it was about a guy who was against the establishment. And he ended up getting a lot of people to join him in his cause to be against the establishment. Now, I'm not against any establishment, but I am against the established way of thinking. And that's what this blog post and this video is about. It's about um, becoming a dreamer and debunking the established way of thinking. Now, I'm going to talk to you without the mask on because, to be honest, I can't breathe with it on. But I want to talk to you about that becoming a dreamer and debunking the established way of thinking. I come from a family. We were like lower middle class family and or upper lower class. We were right around in there. We had our hard times and we had some good times. But the established thinking that came out of our family, and this is probably true for a lot of people, most people, I would say, the most of the people that are 80% are thinkers of this way, and that is, you go to school, you get an education, and then you get a job at maybe some factory or some place, and you stay at that job for 30, 40 years, and then you retire and live a comfortable life. Now, there's nothing wrong. Well, I shouldn't say there's nothing wrong with that thinking, but I mean, you can have a comfortable life if you do those things correctly. In most instances, now we're running into a time when getting an education is just not enough. But there are some people that had a different way of thinking. And I think it's the right way of thinking. And if you go to any teachings, the Bible, Think and Grow Rich, and all of those books, from the turn of the century, and some of the motivational books now, there's a different way of thinking. And that is that, you become a dreamer and then you get a desire and a burning desire, and then you make that thing that you turn that desire into a belief, and you make that belief happen. That's a different way of thinking. And think about some of the richest people in the world. Think about them. A lot of them, and I would venture to say that most of them, you know either quit school, didn't go to school, or something like that. All they had was a dream, and they turned that dream into a desire, and then they turned that desire into a belief that it was going to happen, and it happened for them. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to school, and I'm not saying school is a bad thing, but what I am saying is this: that to have success in this world, you don't necessarily have to have an education in a certain field. All you really have to do is to have a dream, turn that dream into a desire that's such a burning desire that it causes you to believe that the thing that you're going to have is going to happen, and then it will happen. Think about Bill Gates and the Apple guy and all of these other people who quit college, had a dream, and became multi mega billionaires because of it. And people that we look up to. They're not Rhodes scholars. They're not. Think about Henry Ford. He was dumb. I can't say he was dumb, but he wasn't. He wasn't schooled, and he was actually one of the smartest people in the world. But he didn't go to school. Yet he changed the way we do things today. And when he talked about getting that engine for his car, his horseless chariot, they said it can't be done, and he said, I'll have it. And because he had a desire, and that desire turned into a belief. First it started with a dream, and then he turned it into a desire, and that desire turned into a belief. He made it happen. In the Bible it says, you can look at that mountain and speak to it and cast it into the sea. You can move that mountain if you believe. So you can do a number of things. So I'm going back to the way we grew up in having the thought pattern that, hey, just get a job, and just get an education, just get a job and live your life, maybe get a house, and then, live comfortably. Once you have that type of thinking, once you have that type of belief system, it becomes very, very difficult to change it. It becomes very difficult because the established way of thinking becomes part of your own thinking. And think of this: the things that you have in your life and where you are in your life right now is a product of the way you think. That's it. It's a product of the way of what you believe. Because you can only attain the things that you want up to your belief level. I'll say that again. You can only get and attain the things that you have up to your belief level. So what that means is what you have in your life right now is because that's the level that you believe. If you want to change what you have in your life now and what's going on in your life, you have to change your belief level. That's important for you to understand. And it's not as easy as I say, but it is possible to change the way you think. You got to remember, this is from years and years and years of programming, that in programming your subconscious mind, that this is the way things are supposed to be. Your subconscious mind is there to protect you. It's your life source. Your subconscious mind is what keeps you alive. It keeps your heart beating. It keeps all of your stuff inside you going the way that it's going. You're not thinking about that stuff. You're not saying, oh, you know what? I got to think about my heart and keep it beating. That's your subconscious mind just keeping things working the way they're supposed to do. And the other thing is that it's supposed to protect you from these outside influences. So if you put in your subconscious mind a belief system that, you know, I'm gonna make I have to make $30,000 a month, or $30,000 a year, and that's it. And if I make more than that, then somehow that's a bad thing, and it's going to kill me, or I'm going to die from it. Maybe not that extreme, but it's going to hurt me. Well, if you put that inside you so much, so deep, that your subconscious mind believes that, even though your conscious mind says, you know what, I want to make $30,000 a month instead of $30,000 a year. And you start trying to make it, your subconscious mind saying, whoa, 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 that's going to hurt us. If you make $30,000 a month, you're going to become this bad thing. People are going to hate you. So I'm not going to allow that to happen. And your subconscious mind will cause you to subconsciously sabotage your efforts at gaining more than $30,000 a month. I hope you understand that. Now, the reason why I'm on this tangent about this dreaming and going against the established way of thinking was because of our mindset call this morning. I'm on it every morning, and I listen, I take down notes, and I always have the notes here in front of me. And these notes, I'm going to go through some of them. This call, it empowers me to do these videos like this because it affects me. And like I always say, I want you guys to be on this journey with me to success, to prosperity. I'm on a journey, and I'm going to grab as many people as I can. You guys can hold on to my feet. You can hold on to my back. You can jump on my back, but I'm going forward. And if you hold on, and partner up with me, you're going to go forward with me also on this journey to success. Now, here's some of the things they talked about. I started out with become a dreamer. Everything starts from a dream. And then you have to have the desire. You dream about something. I remember a short story here. I remember I wanted a black S-Class Mercedes Benz for a long time, for years. I wanted this, a couple of years. I wanted this black S-Class Mercedes Benz. So I thought about it. It was just a dream. I didn't think I'd ever get it. I was working at the police department, had a bunch of bills, and paid out more money than I was getting in. And, it was just a situation that I didn't enjoy. But I was going to have this thing. And I was going to have it as an entrepreneur in business. So things went on, things went on. The next thing I ended up leaving the police department, had $80,000 cash in the bank. I drove down, or took a train down to New Jersey from Connecticut, looked at a S-Class Benz, the black one, just like I wanted, picked it out, paid cash for it, and had the car. It wasn't a new one, but it was the one that I wanted. And it started from a dream, and then it started from a burning desire, seeing it every day, looking it up on the internet and that type of thing, and seeing it and believing that I was going to have it. And one day I did get it. That's the way things happen. Okay, that's exactly the way things happen. You have a desire, you have a dream, you have a desire, you turn that desire into a belief. Once you really, really believe it, it happens. What are some of the other notes that we had? Um, one of the questions that was asked, or at least asked it to myself, was why do I believe what I believe? Well, the reason why I believe what I believe and why I have what I have in my life right now is because of the belief systems that I got from either my parents, and I'm not saying anything bad about them. That's what they believed, passed on to us, society in general, the people around me. All of those things caused me to believe a certain thing and then internalize it so much so that my subconscious it took it in and said, well, this is what we believe, and I'm going to protect you from anything outside of that belief. Um, and as I said, changing that belief can be very, very difficult. But once you start on a journey of changing the belief, and this is how you do it. What you do is you get on a morning mindset mastermind call like I have right now that deals with the science of getting rich, think and grow rich, how to win friends and influence people. Um, those type of books, going through those type of books, getting that kind of information in you starts to change your belief. You start thinking that, you know what? I can do this. I can be this. I can. And once you start doing that, your subconscious mind starts letting loose and saying, you know what? If you're saying that so much, I'm going to start believing it. And once your subconscious mind believes it, then things start happening. You start attracting the people that can make things happen in your life. You start attracting the events that can change the way your life is. So you got to get this good stuff in you. So you need to get on a mastermind call like I do. You need to get some tapes and videos and audios and CDs and all of that stuff, DVDs on motivational stuff, and stop watching the TV all day long and getting all of that junk in there, listening to the news and getting all of that bad stuff inside of you, because that's what's limiting your belief. But what you need to do is get some of the good stuff in you from these motivational speakers, Anthony Robbins, all of these Jim Rohn, all of these different people that have this good motivational stuff. That's their intention is to motivate you from your self-limiting belief to a belief system that is incredible. A belief system like Thomas Edison that said, I'm going to turn this light bulb, we're going to make this light up from electricity when it never was done before. People thought he was crazy because it never ever had been done before, and he failed 10,000 times before he was able to make it happen. How many of us would have given up after the 1,000th time? Some people give up after the first time, the third time. It took him 10,000 times to get this light bulb to work, but he had a belief system that said, I believe it can happen, and I'm going to continue to do this, and try it until it does. And that belief system is what gives you the persistence to continually get the thing to happen. And what happens is he became what some of you ever heard. He became a weeble. I heard this morning, and the guy said, "You're a weeble," and we all know about weebles. They wobble, they get distracted, and they wobble around, but they never fall down. They never fall to the ground. They might hit the ground, but they bounce right back up. And if you have a belief system that says, I can do it, yeah, you're going to run into some distractions and you're going to fall down a couple of times, but you should bounce right back up because it's your belief system that keeps you on track. Now, one guy talked about this morning, and a lot of times what happens with our belief system is that we run into situations where fear comes into place, where you're afraid to do something because of your limiting beliefs. And this guy, this was a friend of mine that I met in San Diego. His name is John Chapman, and he spoke on this, and I thought it was so eloquent that he spoke on it. But he said, fear is not real. It's not a reality. Fear is it is the product of thoughts that you create. Fear is not real. It's just a product of thoughts that you create. As a matter of fact, when I was driving down to or flying down to San Diego, I don't have a fear of flying, but for some reason I don't know where this came from. This claustrophobic thing, um, and I never had it before, but for some reason I got it. I had it, and I'm dealing with it, and I realize that it's not real. It's just my mind. But anyway, we get on this plane, and I took these flights down, and the flight cost like $300, but you had to get on 15 different planes to get to San Diego from Connecticut. So anyway, I got on the plane, and it was this tiny, tiny little plane. I'm talking about it was the smallest plane I've ever seen, and it was packed. And I get on the plane, and I'm sitting there, and this little seat, and I'm scrunched up in there, and my head's almost touching the ceiling, sitting in the plane, and the claustrophobic starts kicking in, and I'm like, "There's no way. This is a 2-hour flight to I can't remember where the next place was going, but it was 2 hours that I was going to have to sit on this plane with this claustrophobic feeling coming up." And it was crazy because I was just about to get up and say I can't do this and run out of the plane. But I stood there and I said, this is just a product of my mind. There's nothing going to happen. Everything's going to be cool. I'm going to be okay. I turned the fan on, that little tiny fan that they have on the top of the plane, and I turned it on me to get some fresh air. And then after a while, now we're in the air, everything was fine. Nothing happened. I was okay. It was a product of my mind that said, you're never going to be able to get out. You got to get, what if something happens, you can't get out? It was just a product of my mind. The next plane I had to get on was the exact type of plane that I had to get on. Same thing, same type of plane. And I got on it, and I was cool. Got on it like everybody else, sat down, and listening to my headphones and my iPod, and just, I was fine. But that initial thing, that fear creeped up and said, you're going to die. You're going to die. And when I didn't die, I was okay. And that's what fear does for you. Another thing that he talked about fear was an acronym, using it as an acronym. And the letters FEAR is false expectations appearing real. False expectations appearing real. And you just have to change your expectations. He went on to talk about a guy was afraid talking. He was talking to this rock star, and I'm not sure how the story went, but I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit just to give you the point. The guy, the speaker of this place, had to go out and speak, and he was very scared. He said, "This is not going to be good. It's not going to work. I can't do this. It's so scary. It's going to be the worst experience of my life. The people are going to hate me." The rock star says to him, at the same event, this is what I believe the story, how the story went. The same event, the rock star says to the guy, he says, "Why do you feel like that?" And the guy says, "Well, listen, I know that it's not going to be good. I know that's going to be the worst thing in the world. When I go out there, the people are going to hate me. I'm not going to know what to say. I'm going to forget all this stuff. It's going to be a bad experience. And the reason why I know is because my throat gets tight. I start to shake a little bit. I start to sweat. I get this chill down the back of my spine, and I get this knot in my stomach. And that's how I know that this is not going to work." And the rock star said, "Okay, okay." And the rock star says to him, "Well, I'm going to go out there after you, and I'm going to kill it. I believe that it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to capture that audience. It's going to be the best experience I ever had when I get out there. And the people are going to respond, and I'm just going to have a great time." And the speaker that was afraid said, "Well, how do you know that? How do you know that that's going to happen?" He said, "Well, I get this tightness in my throat. I get this chill down my spine. I start to sweat and shake, and I get this pit in my stomach. And that's how I know that the experience I'm going to have is going to be the best experience in the world." You see the difference? He changed that feeling that attached itself to fear with the other guy. He changed it to an expectation of abundance, of joy, of beauty. And that's all we have to do is change our expectations. Change our expectations, and we can change the results. One of the last thing I'm going to say is that the greatest enemy of greatness is just being good enough. And we take this thing full circle. We talk about, my belief system as I was growing up, and the belief that, $30,000 in a factory, get a house, get some education, and live the rest of your life like that, and that should be good enough for you. The greatest enemy of being great is just settling for good enough. And I'm saying to you right now, don't settle for good enough, because where you are right now is good enough, maybe good enough for you, but you can be great. I can be great, and I'm not settling for good enough. And I may be in a position, or you may be in a position where it might be at the bottom right now, but your expectation is greatness. Your desire is greatness. You're changing, and in the process of changing your belief system to being great, and you're not settling for good enough. I'm Darren Spain. I'm against the established way of thinking, and I'm moving on to a prosperity thinking, and I want you to move on with me to that prosperous, that abundance way of thinking, so that we can become free, and we know that the greatest enemy of greatness is being good enough, and we're not settling for good enough. I'm Darren Spain. I'll talk to you soon.